Chapter 4. The Work of Creation. The world of Absolute is also known as a divine glory, eternal and unchanging. It existed as a complete realm of emanation before creation began. In the total scheme of all the worlds, it is the place of interaction between the will of Ein Sof and the changing worlds beneath, where we live and have our incarnate being. In the Bible, the opening verse describes the creation of these lower worlds with the words, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth." The fact that in the original Hebrew the name Elohim is used for God is most significant, because in Kabbalah this God name signifies the severe or passive side of God, while Yahweh represents the merciful and active aspect. These two are in Chokmah and Binah relationship to Ehyeh, the I Am of Keter. Together they make the supernal triad which manifests below as the creator or Keter of Beriah, from where creation begins. Moreover, by the use of the words "in the beginning," we know that the process of creative manifestation has moved out of the unchanging world of Absolute into the time-governed world of the cosmos that is set out in the first chapter of Genesis. The world of creation emerges out of the Tiferet of Absolute, and not, as many students of Kabbalah are led to believe, by a misunderstanding, out of Malkut. This formula applies to quite a different operation. The Tiferet of Absolute is the simultaneous Keter of Beriah, so that the lower face of emanation is the upper face of the tree of creation. The principle is again repeated down through all the worlds to our own, where we observe, for instance, that the psyche is interwoven with the body, but not entirely subject to it. It also shows the connection and separateness of two distinct worlds. At the level of emanation, everything is purely divine, at least from Keter to Tiferet, where creation begins. Here in Tiferet is the fusion of all the upper Absolutic Sephirot, or God names. In Kabbalah, the title of the lesser Yahweh is used to define it. As the Keter of Beriah, or creation, it contains the highest of created beings, Metatron, who acts as God's agent over all evolving creatures. Out of this crown of creation emerge the other two supernals of Beriah, its Chokmah and Binah, which are simultaneously the Netzer and Hod of Absolute, the hosts of Yahweh and Elohim. They become the father and mother of the world below. The octave lightning flash then proceeds, and this is what is described in the first chapter of Genesis. And the Spirit of God, Ruah Elohim, moved upon the face of the waters. The abyss, or deep, of the Beriatic dart has been crossed, and the world of Yetzirah, symbolized by water, has already been created, but is as yet without form. The chapter goes on to tell how God called forth light and divided the day from the night. That is, he created the right and left pillars of the tree of Beriah. The use of the word call indicates we are still within the lower face of Absolute. The process is continued through several stages or days until on the sixth day, that is the Asiatic level of Beriah, he makes a man in our image, after our likeness. This plural wording points out the operation of several aspects of the Creator. It also shows in the creation of man, containing both male and female aspects, an androgynous Adam. This is the completion of the Beriatic tree at Malkut, where all pillars converge again. Many Kabbalists consider that the 7 lowest Sephirot on the Beriatic tree are the 7 days of creation. Others see the 6 outer Sephirot as the 6 days between the first dough of Keter and the resolving dough of the Sabbath, the first and last being 1. Another school sees the 7 levels on the central axis of the tree as the days with man developing out of the Beriatic Yesod, on the 6th day as the image of God. All these views are valid according to which way one uses the law of octave and triad. After the Lord, that is Adonai, the God name corresponding to Malkut, had rested in equilibrium on the 7th day of Malkut, he observed that there was no man to till the ground. This means that while the upper face of Yetzirah was inherent in the lower face of Beriah, there was nothing below to form the upper face of Asiya, symbolized in the word Adamah, or ground. God, therefore, formed man of the dust of the ground. That is, God continued the Yeseratic tree down to make the world of elements and action, and breathed into his nostrils Neshamet Hayim, the breath of life. Here is man in Eden, the garden of the Yeseratic world, which extends up into the heaven of Beriah and down into the earth of Asiya. Below the lower face of Asiya became that part of the earth which lay beyond the gate of Eden. When Adam and Eve fell and were made to leave Eden, they descended into this lower Asiatic face to don animal skins which we incarnate human beings wear to this day, in the form of the physical body. However, we still have in the upper face of Asiya a direct connection with the lower Garden of Eden, and sometimes, in certain clear moments, we enter it, if only to glimpse its strangely familiar beauty. Figure 17. Evolution. In this tree, the rise from the 4 earthly elements is set out in the 7 levels of nature. After millions of years, the metals, minerals, fluidic and gaseous systems could, with the fire of the sun, support organic life on Earth. First came the most primitive plants. Then came higher vegetation and plant animals, like the sponge and coral. These gave rise to the invertebrates. Human souls then took on the bodies of the most advanced primitives. This is possible because the subtle vehicle of the psyche can penetrate living tissue. The Bible calls it putting on a coat of skin, or incarnation. That is set out in below and to the left and right of the 3 lower worlds. There is a realm known as the Kelepoth, or the world of shells. These are the phenomena created by forces and forms that are out of balance, that no longer have a conscious control or a constructive function in the universe. Kabbalists give them the symbolic identity of demons and archdemons, which correspond negatively to the level of the angels in Yetzirah and the archangels in Beriah. There are also elemental entities which reside below, in and beyond the lower face of Asiya. All these phenomena, for obvious reasons, are not very helpful for development, which is why Kabbalists treat these worlds and their inhabitants with great circumspection. We have now a very brief outline of the great tree of Absolute and the lower worlds that emanate from it. As a totality, it is the manifest relative universe, with many levels and a precise set of laws to govern it. The main laws may be summarized as follows. 1. The unity. 2. The complementary opposites. 3. the Great Trinity or three heads. 4. The worlds. 5. The number of faces between the Keter of Azalut and the Malkut of Asiya, sometimes called the 5 Gardens. 6 and 7. The number of the side or lowest sephirot of construction. 8. The notes of the great octave. 10. All the sephirot, and 22. The number of paths connecting the tree into a unity. As has been observed, there are many ways of describing the same thing in Kabbalah, and versions of the extended tree of the 4 worlds abound. Perhaps the first and most obvious is the symbol of Jacob's ladder, which rested on the earth where he slept and reached up to heaven, with the angels of God ascending and descending on it. Genesis 28:12. Perceived in the form of a dream, God informs Jacob that he is always with him and that he will bring Jacob into the land whereon he lies. The symbolism of the dream indicates a quite different state of consciousness from Jacob's natural condition. Indeed, when he awoke, he said, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I knew it not." Full of awe, he then took the stone he had used as a pillow and set it up as an altar. After consecrating it with oil, the symbol of grace from above, he called the place Bethel, the house of God. This stone has a traditional connection with a stone, which the Holy One, blessed be he, cast into the abyss during the creation of the worlds, says the Zohar. The upper part of the stone, however, remained linked with its source, while its lower part descended to left, right, and throughout creation. Its name Shatir can be translated as foundation. Thus it relates to the Sephirah of Dart, the abyss with Yesod, the other foundation. This connection can clearly be seen in the diagram of the interleaved tree, where Dart and Yesod occupy the same sephirotic location, but in different worlds. Both are crucial points in descent or ascent of the worlds. Tradition has it that this same stone was not only Jacob's pillow, but the tablet upon which the 10 Commandments were to be cut. It was also, according to biblical legend, the foundation of Zion, the holy mountain, and the base of the sanctuary of David's and Solomon's temple. Figure 16, 4 holy creatures. These beings in Ezekiel's vision represent the 4 worlds. The man is Adam Kadmon. The eagle symbolizes the airy realm of creation. The lion, the watery world of formation, and the bull, that of earth or material existence. They support the throne of heaven and guard celestial Jerusalem and the Messiah. As with all ancient symbols, much is to be seen in their makeup. Take the lion. It is a creature of power and courage or heart, which comes from the strong flow of blood. This is why it rules the watery realm of formation. Book of Kells, early medieval. The vision of Ezekiel is the other major biblical version of the 4 worlds that is used by the Kabbalist. In this, the prophet, like Jacob, underwent a change in consciousness that lifted him out of the state of natural bondage into a Yeseratic view of the levels above Asiya. Ezekiel 1. When the heavens were opened, Ezekiel saw a vision of a wondrous chariot moved by 4 strange living creatures. Above the chariot, beyond a firmament, was the likeness of a throne, and upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man, who is the appearance and likeness of the glory of the Lord. Observe the repeated emphasis on likeness and appearance, indicating a code of strict allegory. Here, in symbolic form, are again the 4 worlds, Ezekiel, below by the river Haber, is in captivity in Babylon or Assyria. The chariot and the holy living creatures are Yetzirah with the throne, beyond the veil of a firmament between the worlds, representing Beriah. The man seated upon the throne is Adam Kadmon, the glory of the Lord of Azalut. The fine detail that occurs throughout the account has given the Kabbalists much to study, for this is a carefully observed glimpse, but from below, of the four worlds described in the opening of Genesis. Figure 17. Evolution. In this tree, the rise from the four earthly elements is set out in the 7 levels of nature. After millions of years, the metals, minerals, fluidic and gaseous systems could, with the fire of the sun, support organic life on Earth. First came the most primitive plants. Then came higher vegetation and plant animals, like the sponge and coral. These gave rise to the invertebrates. Human souls then took on the bodies of the most advanced primitives. This is possible because the subtle vehicle of the psyche can penetrate living tissue. The Bible calls it putting on a coat of skin, or incarnation. Please subscribe to be notified of when more chapters and books come out on this channel.